Welcome to Trade Pro. I have an extremely important topic here for any trader. This one, testing 200 times in a row how often trends continue. So for a downtrend, what does that mean? Well, that means in a downtrend, as determined by our Trade Pro rejection zone indicator cloud, which if it's red, that categorizes things as a downtrend. So how often in a downtrend does price make a new lower low after a pullback? And in an uptrend, how many times does price make a new higher high after a dip? I'll be using very simple metrics to tell me what a valid pullback is and also what the trend direction is. So as I already stated, trend direction being interpreted by this Trade Pro rejection zone indicator cloud. So this has default settings, and I'll be using this to tell me what the trend direction is. And then for the pullbacks, what actually makes a valid pullback, I'll be using the stochastic RSI K line. So if stochastic K goes into the overbought territory while price is in a downtrend, that is going to be considered a valid pullback. And so I'll be testing how many times does the price continue for a new lower low within a downtrend after a pullback. And then for an uptrend with a green cloud, I'll be testing how many times does the trend continue for a higher high after stochastic K has gone into the oversold territory below the 20 line. So simple pullbacks with continuation moves. We're seeing how often do trends continue after a pullback. Now let's go through some examples so you can see exactly what I'm going to be testing to determine how often trends continue. So for a downtrend with a red cloud, I'm going to be looking at it like this. So we have the flip of the red cloud. So I'll be looking for stochastic K to go into the overbought territory, and then I will mark the low before that pullback began, and it will be a valid trend continuation move if price makes a lower low before the cloud flips green. So if the cloud were to flip green before price made a lower low, it would be considered as a loss. And so we take a look there. This one makes a new lower low and the cloud stays red. So we can then look at the next time that stochastic K goes into the overbought territory right here on this pullback. So then I mark the new low, and then we see, does price make a lower low? Yes, it does. And the cloud stays red. And so that's valid. Then we look for the next time. We have stochastic K and overbought here, so we can mark the low before that pullback began. And does price continue for a lower low? Yes, it does, and the cloud stays red. So we look for the next opportunity here, right in this area, and we can mark that low. Does price continue for a new lower low without the cloud flipping green in between? And yep, it succeeds. It makes a new lower low, so we can mark the new lower low over here after we see stochastic K go into the overbought. And is this one successful? Yes, we have a trend continuation for a lower low. We do it again, overbought stochastic K. Does the trend continue for a lower low? Yes, it does. And then we can look at the next one. So overbought stochastic K on this pullback, we mark the low, and yes, it does continue. So how did this take a loss? Well, we mark the low here because we see it goes back into the overbought, and this one is a loss because it never continues down for a lower low, and the cloud flips to green, so that makes it a loss. So now we can start taking a look at longs. Now that we have a green cloud, we start looking for stochastic K to go into the oversold territory, which happens on this pullback. So we can mark the high before the pullback, and trend does continue. Cloud stays green, so it's valid. Then we mark it again. Next time we see stochastic K go into the oversold, this one does continue, and we can do it again over here. Stochastic K goes into the oversold right on this candle, and this one does continue, and then we do have a failure, so we go back into the oversold. We can mark the high before this pullback, and this one flips to red before a higher high is made, so that would be a loss. So that's exactly what I'm going to be testing. Extremely simple. So just figuring out how often pullbacks continue in trends. And obviously in ranges, this will take the most losses. Most trends will continue for higher highs or lower lows, depending on the direction. But let's see over a series of 200 trades, if you just assume trends are going to continue, will you have an edge in the market? And let's see how great that edge might be. All right, results are in after the 200 back-tested pullbacks or dips, and so let's check it out. This was tested on euro against the US dollar on a 1-hour time frame. It was tested 200 times in a row, and out of those 200, there were 128 trend continuation moves and 72 trend failures. So let's put it into a percentage. How often do trends continue? About 64% of the time, which is very good, seeing as this essentially gives trend traders a built-in edge to the market. And why do you think people always say the trend is your friend? It's because there's essentially a built-in edge with trading with the trend, expecting there to be a continuation move of the current trend. So reversal trading may be made quite a bit more difficult because trends continue more times than not. So it's easier to anticipate and expect a trend is going to continue than it is to call a trend reversal. And of course, there are many ways to trade profitably trading reversals, but personally, I prefer to trade with the trend and expect continuation moves after a pullback. You can design a system that puts you in the position of entering into a trend at a discounted price with the expectation that the trend will continue. Not to mention, if you use a decent risk to reward ratio, even if you're only right 40% of the time, 50% of the time, you can still come out highly profitable on the other side as long as you stick to your system and don't break the rules, don't risk too much per trade. Even weathering a losing streak will be fine if you're using proper risk management. One number I didn't put up here was how many trend failures did we have in a row, and that number was 4. So the most trend failures in a row was 4, and the most wins in a row was 8. So those are the numbers for most won and most lost in a row, but this isn't a full strategy test, so I didn't want to do it as the normal format that I typically do on strategy tests, because this isn't a full strategy. It doesn't have a stop loss placement and a take profit target. This is just how often do trends continue, and this information is valuable for all the reasons discussed before, so you can know why trend trading does work if you follow a proper system. So that's going to conclude things for this video. If you like this content, make sure to like the video, comment down below for the YouTube algorithm. Also, feel free to check out my links in my description for my Patreon page, my affiliates like Bybit and Capitalize.ai. But thank you guys for watching and have a great day.